You're listening to Podcast PXN,
a video game podcast
delivering player experience news.
Let's go!
Yo, we are officially a quarter of the way through the year, and welcome to Podcast PXN, episode 237. I am one of your hosts, video essayist and video producer at Dual Shockers, Christian Macias. I'm joined over Discord by Kentucky's #1 Spartan, PXN founder, Daniel Prindle, aka Dan is DTM.
I am here. Hello.
Here and alive. Thank you. Glad you survived. Rounding out today's threesome, the president of the Tifa Lockhart fan club. He's the Nintendo aficionado and artist extraordinaire at Roro.
Hello, hello. Glad to be here.
Yes. No Gage for tonight, but he will return in Avengers 4. Stay tuned.
Who's he playing?
Who would Gage be in a Marvel movie?
God.
Ant-Man? No, I'm Ant-Man.
I'd have to think about that.
I'm gonna give him that, like, the Captain America ripoff from the show, Falcon Winter Soldier.
You know what? I'm gonna say Rocket Raccoon. Boom.
Hey, that's a better answer. Yep, better answer. Way better answer. Folks, thank you to everyone watching us live and participating in the chat. Just as a reminder, we're live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. Just search Podcast PXN. Also streaming simultaneously at twitch.tv/Podcast PXN. Topic of the show this week is 2024 in games, reviewing all the games that have come out so far, and also looking ahead, what's on the horizon, current gaming discourse, all of it that is defined this year in games so far. But first, the show always starts with a quick bite, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Before we even get to some news, I have a little PXN trivia mini game I'm going to do real quick. I've been researching some stuff for an upcoming video project and figured it'd be a little bit fun just to share some of the stuff that I've learned so far, but make a game out of it, have you two guess some little factoids. Without Googling, in the last 50, well, I need to think about which question to ask first. There's a couple I have in mind. In the last 20 years, what franchise has... Which franchise has made the most appearances as the #1 best-selling video game?
That's easy, right?
Is it? I guess I have one answer, but I'm not sure if it's the right one.
It has to be Call of Duty, right?
Call of Duty is correct. Of the last 15 years, how many times has Call of Duty appeared as the #1 best-selling video game?
The last 15 years.
I'll give you guys a moment.
I'm going to say 12.
I'm going to say 11.
Bro, I see what game you're playing, and you would be wrong because Dan guessed it exactly.
Boom.
It was 12 on the money.
Because Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yep.
And to be honest, I just said there's probably one more in there, so I threw one more.
Then I'll ask this. You just named 2 other franchises. There are 2 more franchises that have made the appearance at the #1 spot. Can you guess them? You don't have to say the exact game, but just the name of the franchise.
Oh.
If you already got a Grand Theft Auto game, you got a Hogwarts
Skyrim.
game.
Is it Skyrim?
No Skyrim.
No.
I'm sorry, not 2, 3. There's 3.
What else?
Franchises.
What else
that have been top selling? That's the question.
Yeah, #1 best selling.
#1 best selling.
a game in this franchise is the number one best-selling game of their respective year.
Has one of these games came out in the last 3 years?
Yeah. Oh, 3. No.
Okay.
You got that with Hogwarts.
We're playing 20 questions now.
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing is not one of them.
Oh, is it Mario Kart?
No Nintendo game at all.
Okay.
Is it a sports game?
They're getting closer.
Oh.
That's one. That'll be one.
Is it Madden?
It is Madden. That is one franchise that frequents the list.
FIFA?
Nope. No more sports games.
Oh.
A first-person shooter and a third-person action-adventure RPG.
A first-person shooter and a third-person action. I mean, it's not Horizon, right?
Nope. Well, I'll give you a hint. Look at Dan's shirt.
Okay, I was gonna say
What?
for the first person shooter.
Halo 3.
Was that in the last 15 years?
20. Last 20 years.
Oh, I thought we were 15.
That was for the last question. Last 20.
Okay.
There's one more
Alright.
game. One more game. Third-person action-adventure game. Has come out in the last 5 years. Give you that one. Give you that extra little hint.
Red Dead Redemption 2?
That is it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
And the final question I have for you. When is the last time a game not in a franchise or series, an original game, has made it the number one spot of the best-selling video game?
Wait, say that
Bonus
again?
points if you guess what game. When was the last year a non-franchise, non-series title was the number one best-selling video game? Bonus points if you know the game.
Well, obviously it's not the last 20 years because we just did that, right?
Guess so. Maybe. I honestly have no idea. It's Tetris back in 19. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. It's going to be something stupid out of left field.
Yeah, 2008. We Play.
Oh, of course.
Before that, 1993. Mortal Kombat.
Wow.
Hmm.
So
Before that, it's just 80 stuff.
So We Play was the third one to the first question that you asked us, right? Or the most selling games of the last 20 years?
What are you asking me right now?
Well, so I guess GTA 5 and
Sorry, no,
Hogwarts
non-franchise. No, We Play was not a
duh.
That would have been the Madden games, the Halo games, GTA,
Gotcha.
Red Dead, Hogwarts.
Keurig says,
Anyway.
"Oh yeah, that heap of which I think he might be referring to Halo."
Halo 3, yeah, for real.
I don't
Facts.
think so, Keurig. I don't think
Maybe
so.
he could be referring to something else, but I think it's Halo.
Better not
You
be
know
We
what?
Play. Yeah, I'm gonna say We Play better than Halo 3.
No, get the fuck out of here. There's
Yeah.
the door.
Like, all I'm saying is that We Play was on the list in 2007 and 2008. Halo 3, where you at?
Got you there.
Anyway, let's move on.
Disrespect.
Speaking of disrespect, let's talk about Embracer Group, because this week, they turned around and had to sell Gearbox for $460 million, which will go down as a loss as they bought them for like over $1 billion, I think. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. The consequences of spending money that they really don't have, trying to make their portfolio stronger, and really just end up, devaluing themselves because they spent so much money that they really didn't have.
Yeah.
Can I read you? Go ahead.
And Take-Two gets the fucking deal of a lifetime. They get Gearbox for literally half the price, which is insane.
At a recent investors call, this is what CEO of Embracer Group, Lars Vingfer, said. That their bold new strategy to get the company back on track after essentially spending a bunch of money that it didn't have. This is it. simply making better products and games. Yeah, it was that simple, dude.
It's that easy.
Incredible.
Some not so incredible news. Certain Affinity has had its first mass layoff 17 years, a total of 25 staff, which is a sizable amount.
Yes. He did say, Max Oberman, the studio head, did go on to say that most of the positions were like, I guess, corporate positions. So mostly like developers are okay, but yeah, that still sucks.
Better than the alternative, I suppose. But still, layoffs are layoffs.
Yeah.
Some good news. This is from the sort of the film world, but it is a video game IP. Sonic 3 director Jeff Fowler has announced that the movie has concluded filming. Now it's on to post-production and editing for its release date of, I think, sometime this year, isn't it? Is it like late in the year? Or is it next year?
I think it's this year. I think it's like a December movie.
December 20th,
Yeah.
2024.
Yeah.
Got a couple of months to wrap that bad boy up.
Very excited. There was another picture that I think Jeff shared when he announced it. It might be in the article actually. I didn't look yet, but he had like the big director
Yes.
thing,
The clapper.
the clapper, and it had like doodles of the characters, and
Very cool.
probably not what Shadow will look like in the movie, obviously, because it's like a Tyson Hennessy drawing. But it's cool to see these characters. I'm excited to see Shadow. We still don't know who voices him yet, apparently, which is crazy. But I'm looking forward to learning more about it.
It's Troy Baker.
Oh God,
I'm just kidding.
no, please no. Oh God.
Can you imagine?
Fortunately,
Yeah, I tap out. I'm already tapped out, but speaking of things that will be tapped out of, Silent Hill 2 Remake was recently rated by the ESRB. They had a description of the game up on their website. And then Jeff Grubb quote tweeted someone who was doing a little bit of sleuthing and put together some math and was essentially put together that the cadence of episodes that Silent Hill Ascension has been releasing will mark the end of Ascension to be somewhere around May, meaning that Konami will seemingly have more news once people are focused on the next Silent Hill thing after Ascension is over, which would coincide, perchance, this is maybe more of a street meat item, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, but will coincide with seemingly a planned Sony event in May. So we may be seeing Silent Hill 2 Remake sooner than we're expecting here. I guess, although I guess it is almost the summertime where these directs and showcases happen.
Very exciting for those horror fans. I'm scared.
Rose, one of them, right? Just kidding.
It is going to be awesome to see how much this game gets lambasted online, I think, because Bloober Team, not the best at handling psychological horror with care or insight. So we'll see how it goes. Next quick bite. R.I.P. What's his name?
Jim Ryan.
Jim Ryan. His name is already out of my mind. Long live interim Sony president Hiroki Totoki. He's officially begun his role as interim CEO of PlayStation as of a couple days ago, as of April 1st. So not long. We'll see if he ends up being named the permanent chair or if that'll eventually go to someone else soon. But until then, stay locked at PXN for breaking news on all things Sony, Xbox, and Nintendo and PC. Am I right, fellas?
Yes. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time live on YouTube, Twitch, everywhere, podcast service.
Yeah. My take is I'm just happy Jim Ryan's gone. I have not liked his... yeah. Actually, there's one more thing I saw today that I need to discuss, or to include after we finish discussing this, and Dan might have more to say. Xbox has reportedly begun working on an AI chatbot. I mean, we knew this was a thing. I think Dan had like experience with a chatbot maybe that was through like Microsoft, actually, like our Windows account, not specifically Xbox. But now it seems like that is going to be taking over Xbox support as well. Any thoughts on that, Daniel?
Yeah, incredibly sad because I think I've said it before that during the Xbox 360 days, Microsoft or Xbox had literally the best support out there. Like it was always fantastic, always real people you're talking to, and it has gone downhill horribly. Like it is awful now, and this will probably just make it worse. So yeah, and me dealing with my whole issue where my account was suspended last year for literally no reason. That was a nightmare. It was absolute nightmare.
No, that was last year. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago at this point.
No, it might have been. I lose track of time quick.
Oh, I put these all under housekeeping. They should have been under quick bites. Why did I do that? What a weird thing for me to do. What a weird setup up there, because I have more quick bite items actually, apparently.
Hell yeah. That's
Anyway.
what we love to see right there.
There's no news of the week, by the way. Like the news were so sparse that, like, we'll have more to say at the end of the episode and towards, catching up what you got for us. So, a few more quick bite items. Bungie, some Bungie news. Ben Lewis, Destiny 2's communications director, has now left Bungie. And then yesterday, Jeremy Rich, the managing director of revenue and product management at Bungie, also announced his departure after 7.5 years. Rich has now joined SIE, Sony Interactive Entertainment, as the head of product management for live service games, which not apparently, but consensus from what I've seen online exclusively via Twitter replies, so that's a huge grain of salt, is that people are kind of not happy with either direction both Sony and Bungie are taking. Obviously people aren't happy with the current state of Destiny. Does not bode well for Final Shape to have X amount of people leaving the company, and also just people kind of speculating that, like, well, if people that are are in charge of maintaining Destiny aren't doing so as effectively, how will they fare when they move on over to managing live service as a whole for Sony? Obviously, I don't have a take in this yet, but things do go south, negative, whatever. If things do go sour, might end up being a win overall, because I don't know how sustainable having multiple live service titles will be in the long run for Sony. We've worried on this channel before.
Yeah. I mean, and they're competing for each other's attention. Like that's always the issue with live service, right? Every single live service game is trying to keep your attention and keep you playing that game and that game only. So it's like, if you have multiple of those, kind of, fighting against one another.
Yeah.
Hamilton.
I'm not worried about Bungie as a whole, but I'm so sad this is how Destiny is seemingly wrapping up, with like a fart in the wind, to me at least.
Sure. Yeah.
This is also the age-old discussion we have all the time. It's about the people, not necessarily about the company, because the people come and go all the time. And that's, I said that when Bungie didn't make Halo games anymore, I said it will be fine. And people still, to this day, people in the Halo community say, we want Bungie back making Halo again. Bungie in 2024 is not Bungie who made Halo. Like, it's literally a different company. There's still a couple people there that worked on Halo, but there's far different people working there.
Speaking of live service titles, we've got news from the Warfront. Let's tune in to see how the soldiers are faring on Helldivers 2. Forgot, there's been some exciting stuff happening with that game recently. Of course, they increased the level cap from 50 all the way to 150. You can now become a super private by reaching that level cap. The developers also added a cape in remembrance of all the fallen Helldivers at Malevelon Creek, which it's pretty cool to see them that in tune with the community. Love to see that. There's also been spotting of these like silhouetted floating ships in orbit around the automaton planets. And then as of today, there's been these like giant, almost like AT-AT walker robots walking around some of the automaton levels, as well as an airburst RPG that'll help you kill the flying bugs with ease.
Talk about doing live service the right way. It's very cool.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, here we go. I know what I did wrong. This should be in Street Meet. Those are all the quick bites. And now let's run over some Street Meet. Basically, just a lot of speculation on when games will be releasing. The first of which, Star Wars Outlaws. Recently, maybe like 2 weeks ago, it got its first rating. I think it was like in South Korea. And someone made some speculation about how when Ubisoft will submit games for ratings within the next 3 to 4 months of getting its Korean rating is when the game will release. This time, Star Wars Outlaws got its third rating, this time in Brazil. So all signs pointing towards getting an announcement of that game's release date somewhat soon. Summer Game Fest. Ubisoft has their own thing in June as well. Maybe there.
Would be interesting. See if Ubi still knows how to make games, because they often follow that Ubisoft formula, and then the reviews come out and they're like, "Yep, this is just another Ubisoft game. You go to this tower and you do this, and that's it."
So I think last week or maybe 2 weeks ago we talked about. Well, it was the same time it got its rating. It was that it was a mature rating. And we were like, oh, well, maybe this game will do something interesting with its narrative, or something that's, a bit more nuanced, something that's a bit more exciting outside of the realm of what the Ubisoft norm is. Turns out the mature rating, as we've learned today with Brazil's rating, is for like an in-game mini game that is essentially like gambling. And so all signs pointing at that mature rating being because they have in-game gambling, not for anything else.
And you know what? There's one other thing that I forgot when we talked about this. Australia has much stricter regulations for their game reviewing process, because I know games like Left 4 Dead back in the day got banned in Australia because of dismemberment, and games like Back 4 Blood, for instance, they were able to release there, but there was no dismemberment allowed. So
yeah, isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
What else is crazy? On April 1st, Silksong got its Xbox storefront, which was wild because it didn't have one before, but it did have one on the Nintendo eShop, had one on PSN, had one, I think, on Steam or wherever else it was. It was in other places, but it finally got an Xbox storefront. Most people that I follow online were like, we're not falling for it. It's not coming anytime soon. Here we are 2 days later, April 3rd. Today got a rating from Korea. Well, at least we became aware of this as of today. Supposedly, the rating actually went through back in February 20th of 2024. So now I'm on the train that Silksong actually might be sooner than we might think. But I mean, who knows? I've been burnt before. Every game you see here will be releasing in the next 12 months.
Almost 2 years later. Here we are.
Oh boy. I really hope it's real this time.
I'll be there.
Does this get stealth dropped during one of these events in the summer?
It is like I said in the Twitter DMs. If they are it won't show up at Sony's thing. But at whatever Xbox does or the Summer Game Fest, it will show up at one of those, and it'll either get released that day or within the next 7 days.
Do they make a lighthearted joke on stage or during the presentation? It's not on stage anymore. About how it was supposed to release 2 years ago, or within the last 2 years.
Would they do that? You think? I don't know. Whenever it drops, I'll be ready for it. I will make time for it. Although that would fucking suck, because if it is June, that's also Elden Ring DLC month, so I'd be screwed.
Did you hear about or maybe you guys talked about it last week, the Final Fantasy?
Oh yeah,
Direct Series. Like, I'll give you guys 1
Yoshi
week to
P?
play that DLC. Yeah, and then play our DLC.
He wanted to play it too. He's excited too. I get it. Last street meet from Insider Gaming. The developers of Dead Cells, forget their who developed that game?
I'm not sure.
That's us. Oh,
Evil Empire.
Evil Empire, laughing all the way to the bank. Evil Empire is supposedly releasing a new Prince of Persia game in Steam Early Access, maybe this year, and it will be a live service roguelite with constant community feedback, influencing what they add into the game and how it shapes out. So I guess not live service. That's just early access, but still, it would be a roguelite title.
You guys are the roguelite experts. I mean,
I am, but I don't know if this excites me.
is it a live service part?
No, I think it's. I mean, so I just said that. I don't know if it's actually live service or not, but it's like I saw what was it UB Montreal, what they did with the Metroidvania format of Prince of Persia Lost Crown.
Mm-hmm.
And like that was cool in concept, and playing it it felt a little bit underwhelming. I have more faith. I mean, Dead Cells is like one of the like greatest roguelike games. So I have more faith that they could do it right, but in early, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be good, but whenever someone like announces that they're doing something that's currently on trend, I kind of wait and see with these, because I know, I talked about the Last of Us roguelite mode being very underwhelming. How God of War did it right, and yeah, I'm just kind of hesitant to see if they actually pull it off or not.
If they're doing it because it's popular, or they're doing it because they're actually passionate about making something good. That's
Which they can do, like Dead Cells is a proven game, but I'm at the point where I kind of want to see it first before I start judging.
Will we see this before the Sands of Time remake?
Oh god,
dude, probably. I'd say yeah. I think that's probably right there. I don't even know when we would see Sands of Time remake again. Maybe at Ubisoft's event later this year, but probably not.
Probably not. Yeah, because supposedly they restarted development on it.
Maybe at the earliest, it would be like a Game Awards like teaser. Anyway. No news of the week this week, so we're skipping straight into our fantasy draft check-in. Of course, Ro had picked up a little indie title called Pepper Grinder. Last week, Dan had announced that it had tentative points, but they weren't locked in. They are now locked in. The Open Critics score, I think, was 79, which means Ro would get 9 points to his total.
I'll take it. I was afraid I wasn't gonna get any.
This man's already got 88 fucking points. Insane.
Uh-oh. I also made
a
potentially bad counter pick, but
maybe
recently.
Not.
I counter picked Call of Duty 2024.
Oh yeah, we talked about that last week, and we all agreed it was not the smartest.
Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see though. Yeah.
It probably was. Maybe I did that to keep the competition fair. I'll say that.
Oh, shut up, dude. Yeah, did it on purpose to let us catch up a little bit.
Yeah.
And Rose already talking shit.
I do love that all the games that are being counterpicked are just straight from Gage's list, though. That's just funny to see.
Yeah. You got to pick some now from his list.
I'm maybe. I'm undecided what I'll do. I have to do something soon. We'll see. All right. Let's catch up with what we're up to. Daniel, what you got for us this week?
Yes. All I've got is Halo Infinite. I suck again. However, I will say I've been keeping tabs on this a little bit. The new operation just dropped yesterday, and since they've went away from seasons now, and they're just doing operations, I've been keeping tabs on the store items because they no longer have the big battle pass with 100 tiers anymore, obviously, or I guess it was 50 tiers. But the store in Halo Infinite is increasingly concerning to me because of the prices and the bundles that they are selling. Every single thing that they're selling anymore is in a bundle, and there's so the new operation dropped yesterday. There's literally 8 or 9 new bundles on the store, with each of them costing $20 to $25 each, which is fucking insane. You can go on Steam right now and buy the Master Chief Collection, which has 6 games in one with hundreds of multiplayer maps and 6 full campaigns for less than $20, on sale. So that is increasingly concerning to me, and I do not like that trend continuing. I think it's going to continue, unfortunately, because as the time goes on and the game, slowly goes off into the sunset for whatever's next, I think that's gonna unfortunately keeping the norm. Unfortunately, it's just insane to me because the amount of content we've gotten through the store since the seasons have ended and operations have begun literally could have filled 2 battle passes. It's just it sucks. And I do feel for 343 because I don't think that it's their decision. I feel like this is a Microsoft decision, just as it was Microsoft's decision to end support for Master Chief Collection. And the new head of 343 was reportedly very upset about that because he's the man who fixed the Master Chief Collection. And yeah, it's just increasingly frustrating with the things that Microsoft continues to do with arguably its biggest brand. So
that was recent, huh? That was recently that they stopped updating MCC. Yeah. That was like last month or so.
It was last year. The last big update was July of last year. They did do an update a couple of months ago to do some bug fixes, which people were excited about because there was some serious bugs with Halo 3's campaign that they had introduced with that last update. But yeah. It's
time is crazy. I thought it was recent that they stopped.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So,
Roshan?
I haven't played anything, unfortunately. So I haven't played anything. I did when Christian said to make sure you guys download content warning. I did. So I downloaded it. Obviously I haven't played it. But
yeah.
I have it just in case, but yeah, I haven't played Open Roads.
Oh yeah, that was on Game Pass.
Yeah, I'll get to it eventually, hopefully. But yeah, I haven't played anything. There's a video that I want to do in the future that will require me to play a game, so that I'll hopefully be able to say that I played something if I force myself to play something. My God, yeah, but nothing yet.
Bro, I just want you to ask which one of these 2 gentlemen, Christian or Gage, mimicked you last week. When it came to your segment, one of them mimicked you and did the whole, I haven't played anything.
I think I'm gonna guess it was Gage. It was Christian? What the fuck? Was his imitation at least good? Was a good imitation?
I don't know. I don't know about it.
I wouldn't be mad if it was a good imitation.
No, it was probably just whatever. But I think it was what I said rather than how I said it. That was funny.
Yeah.
I've got nothing.
That was good. Oh god.
I got a lot. I've been playing almost too many stuff. I beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. 60 something hours. I won't say much about it just because I've already talked about it enough, but special game. will go down in the history of gaming as one of the like most ambitious narratives that I think will only get better as age goes on. There's like a little bit of frustration that has like I've seen online discourse about with like some major outlets being unhappy with like the direction of that ending, but I think people just were expecting something else and were not happy that that their expectations were subverted. I think with time it'll only get stronger. That is like some next level shit they're doing at the end of that game. It's very cool stuff. I also downloaded a difficult game about climbing. This is a solo developer who was inspired by that game Getting Over It, which is that game where you're like a little dude in a pot and you use like a stick to like get over little obstacles. It's like one of those games made for streamers to rage at. So this dude got inspired to do what is essentially the same thing, but like climbing with your hands. So if you use a game controller, it's L left trigger and right trigger are your arms. On a mouse, it's left click and right click, and then space bar or I think the stick on the Xbox gamepad is how you pull yourself up, and it's all momentum and physics based. I'm trying to talk about like movement mechanics in a future video, so I was like just kind of curious. And that game is really hard. It is indeed a difficult game about climbing because I'd never even beat the second area. In fact, I fucked up area 2 so bad, I ended up falling all the way back to area 1 and then rage quit. When you exit the game, it says rage quit. That's how you have to exit. Very hard. I also, the day it was released publicly, I downloaded and played through the Stellar Blade demo. And then played the boss encounter that you unlock after beating the demo. And I tweeted about this, but this game could have been a lot cooler than it ended up being with so far. I think making the game into a Souls-like was not the right call. Eve moves very slow. Combat is like it's weird that they call the game inspired by Sekiro when like the pace of it is not very fast at all. You have to like really get deep into the skill tree to do that. So it's kind of you don't start off very. It doesn't feel fluid or fun at first. It feels like actually really constricted and tight, not in a good way. So when you play the boss encounter and you have like a bunch of shit unlocked in your skill tree, like, oh, okay, this is what combat is supposed to end up feeling like. But it just, how long will it take to get there? Maybe probably too long, I'd imagine. And the story is also seemingly somewhat generic, but yeah, so far I'm kind of mid on it, and it will indeed be a game that I wait for reviews for, or a sale probably to even pick it up. I also picked up some shovelware. I tweeted about this game. I hyperlinked it because you really should see what this game is. Potato Sack Racing Simulator 2024. They're doing something avant-garde with this on purpose. Like, it is shitty on purpose. But like it is actually like real shitty to play. It was almost annoying to play, and I ended up after like 10 minutes being like, "Yeah, I've seen enough." I don't know what. I was intrigued by the thumbnail or whatever, the cover image of this game, and I'm good. Jesus. And I also picked up Dragon's Dogma 2 and got really into it. And
whoa.
Rather than talk about that game at length, I want to just tell you 3 or 4 little scenarios that are all just emergent gameplay moments that happened to me from my first few hours. The first is like pawns are cool. Pawns are the like little hireable NPCs that follow you around when you go on quests and stuff. And I was on a trail on my way to like one of the main towns at the beginning of the game, and there's like a cave-in on the side of a mountain, and I can see that I can get through, but I don't know how to get through. And my pawn goes, like, "Oh, I've got you, master. Step back." And I hit him with like the go command, and he destroys the cave-in, and like a little like cave reveals itself. So I walk through, and I end up like on top of this hill with like a statue that you can pray at, and there's like a little token. A little like collectible thing that you can turn in at an inn to get rewards. And my NPC goes like, "Wow, like what a gorgeous view. Like I would like to sit here and soak it in if my master allows it." And I was like, "You know what, dude, you're right. And so I stopped and stared, and like I would have missed this. I would have just kept going if this fucking NPC didn't just like help me out and give me just a moment to reflect on like this beautiful skybox of like the sun setting on this fantasy world and just sit there for a moment. It was very cool. There was another moment that I mean, there's plenty, but the one of me playing last night, which was pretty awesome, was I was on my way to a quest with this elf that I met in town, and on my way there, there's like a pile of shit in the road, and it's huge, like it is like bigger than me. And I'm like, okay, well, there's a beast nearby somewhere, so I'm like looking around for it because I don't want to get like caught off guard or like ambushed. I can't find him. So I end up just going back up the road. There's a small hill. I'm just following up the hill. And I see like, oh, there's a campsite nearby. I've been walking towards my quest for so long and fighting so many things that like I should camp for the night, rest till morning, and have my whole party be back to full health. And as I approached the campsite, the fucking beast that shit on the road, like, was hiding behind like a rock formation and broke through. So now I'm like fighting for my life just to get to this campsite. And it's cool shit like that is happening pretty much constantly. That is just in between the quests themselves. That is I think what makes this game truly something special and worthy of like current gaming zeitgeist. Cool stuff.
Gage is shedding tears right now hearing this.
Yeah, giving this game its like proper chance has really helped me out. I've seen some discourse online about like the game being like friction because it's like a lot harder. Hold on, I'll stop right there. We're gonna get into that. I think the topic of the show,
okay,
which is right now.
Well, wait before you do that. Kirik in the chat.
Please.
Kirik in the chat wants to tell us what he's playing. He's playing Another Code Recollection on the Switch on the Steam Deck.
Ooh,
Wait.
cool.
Oh, on the Steam Deck, he's calling the Switch. And in a bad move, I managed to start both Xenoblade Chronicles and Dragon Quest XI-S all in the same week. 2 100+ hour games. Fuck my life, he says.
Those are
I'm
lengthy
curious
games.
about Another Code, Kirik. That's the DS remake, I think. That looked interesting. But yeah, what were you thinking with the other two games? Jesus.
At the same time, no less, right? Let's get into the topic of the show. Let's review 2024 in games so far. I think the obvious place for us to start so far, or thus far, this episode, this discussion, is what games have released. Now, granted, this is going to be harder. Roshan just continues to be anti-game.
I hate games.
And Daniel has
Yo.
played like one 2024 game.
I played a couple, maybe.
Maybe. Oh Jesus.
like that.
But still, I still think we can have somewhat of a healthy discussion about what games have released so far and how the rest of the year will fare. I'm gonna read you a list of the biggest games that have released from January all the way through March, and we can talk about any of them at any point. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown was the first biggest game of the year. And many people claimed it as a game of the year contender, a big surprise for a game so early in the year. That same month, we also got Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth, which is another niche title, but still one that was fairly lauded from fans and critics for it being a special game. Silent Hill: The Short Message was a free short game that released online. You can sit through it with about 2 to 3 hours, beat it, which I did. It's not very good. Persona 3 Reload in February. Lengthy remake of an older game, but still one that had a very nice new coat of paint put on. Helldivers 2. Yeah, yeah. Still, it's something. Helldivers 2 also released this year, and it's still has its grips in live service gaming, I would say, so far. We also had a couple of games on the Switch, like Mario versus Donkey Kong, getting its was it a remake or was it a new title?
Remake, right?
Yeah.
Or remaster?
Pacific Drive.
Oh,
I can't remember.
yeah.
I mean, that's not one I played. Yeah. Pacific Drive, the first-person survival game. You drive your car around a roadside picnic inspired hellscape world. Open Roads, the game Road doesn't want to play. Sons of the Forest got its 1.0 released in February, and I still have it downloaded, ready to go whenever. Balatro, actual indie darling game of the year, will probably be just as big as Vampire Survivors by the time December rolls around, if not bigger. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, of course, came and went, but still in a lot of... It's a long game. People are still talking about that game on Twitter. People are still not done with it. Princess Peach Showtime just came out, and that got some pretty good reviews. Dragon's Dogma 2, of course. Pepper Grinder. And I just wrote down a difficult game about climbing. How are you guys feeling about possible Game of the Year contenders so far from this list? How are you guys feeling on 2024 in general, based on this list? Whether or not you've played them or not, just even from afar. How you feeling?
Dan's making a face.
I don't.
Dan's thinking. He's thinking.
Yeah, I am thinking. I think in the zeitgeist, I think that, and God help me because Gage is going to murder me here, but I think Dragon's Dogma 2 is getting a lot of love right now, but I don't know if it's going to be in Game of the Year discussion by the end of the year. Like, there's still a lot of games still to come out, and
Oh, yeah.
I feel like this game is maybe going to get pushed back a little bit in people's on people's lists. Not to say it's a bad game or anything. It obviously is a very good game. But like, I think for me personally, the only one that truly like makes a big wave, and again, I don't know if that means that it's a Game of the Year contender, is Helldivers 2. And I think that what they're doing with the live service and doing it the right way and not having toxic and terrible microtransactions, I think is very important for the discussion of, live service games and what they should be. Now, does that make it a Game of the Year contender? I don't know. Like, I think a lot of the ideas they're using in Helldivers 2 are not necessarily new ideas per se, but like they're doing it very well. Like they're executing on it very well. And the game is just a lot of fun to play. Like it's just madness, and yeah, it's difficult. It's really difficult looking back at these 3 months or 4 months and being like, man, are these going to be Game of the Year contenders? I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, Final Fantasy, I think for sure will be a very popular one for Game of the Year. Yeah, that is. Yeah, I'm hard pressed to think that like wouldn't even show up at like Jeff's. You know what I mean? Like,
true.
You kind of have a feeling like what games will be in discussion by the time the Game Awards rolls around and other gaming awards ceremonies. But I think honestly, I think you're right with the Dragon's Dogma 2 stuff. Despite me enjoying the game so much, when I think of what constitutes as like a Game of the Year, I think there are so many games on the horizon that we'll talk about and cover here in a little bit, that like I can feel that one slipping a little bit too. Like it'll have people calling it's Game of the Year, but as far as like wider outlets and the Game Awards goes, I don't know if it has like the cultural cachet to make it all the way to December and still stand against the likes of more powerhouse hitters. Time will tell, but yeah, I think so far I agree with you. I also forgot about Pal World that came out. I mean that's lost like 95% of its player base.
True. Which that game I think we could all agree that game's not a Game of the Year contender. Like
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not, dude. Like I can't think of a Game of the Year besides like Final Fantasy, like you were saying, Christian. But I'm thinking of like the subcategories as well. Like Tekken 8 is like a really popular game. People really like that it came out.
Was that this year?
Yeah, I think it was January. I think.
Oh, dude, then I forgot Tekken.
Oh, well, yeah, that's one. I don't know if that's
you.
going to be Game of the Year, but that's definitely going to be like on the fighting game category of at the Game Awards and stuff like that.
It'll be nominated for best fighting game, and
best fighting game.
Probably it. Yeah.
Yeah, besides Final Fantasy, for me personally, as someone who hasn't played a lot this year and the last year, it's hard for me to think of a game of the year right now. But from what we do have, Final Fantasy is definitely the one that's sticking out the most at this point.
Which
Let me give you. Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say that's an interesting question. Like, should a game like be excluded from game of the year conversation because of like like we've traditionally don't ever see fighting games or sports games or racing games like. Should we like start to like take those types of games more seriously for consideration for game of the year? Because I feel like a lot of the time people just kind of like, oh, well, it's this. It's just a fighting game. Like, nah, it's not game of the year.
I don't see why not. We shouldn't actually. A game is a game, in my opinion.
It's fair.
But if it's that good, then yeah, why not?
Did Mortal Kombat 1 do that? Or no? Am I crazy? I think maybe I'm crazy.
That's the 2023 fighting game, right?
The one,
Yes.
or maybe I think of a different one. The one with the yellow background that was super
That's
yellow.
11.
No,
Mortal Kombat
11.
Yeah,
Did that didn't make it to Game of the Year?
I don't think so. No,
Okay, I don't know why I thought in my head that like that was the one that did it.
probably because they probably had like a game of the year edition, even though how they do that
Didn't
shit.
actually get nominated. That might be it. Yeah.
It did win
Yeah.
best fighting
fuck.
game. It did win
Okay.
best fighting game that year.
But you see how they get relegated to other respective categories as opposed to
Right.
Game of the Year.
the main category. Yeah. To put into perspective how 2024 compares to 2023, here's some of the bigger games that came out at the beginning of last year. TMNT Shredder's Revenge, which we played together online, and I think we had a lot of fun playing. What was the other? We have Forspoken, released in late January, as well as Hi-Fi Rush, which did end up having its flowers at the end of the year with some outlets. Pizza Tower was also released in late January, and that game definitely stood the test of time by the end of the year. Dead Space Remake, also in January, by the way. Like, January was pretty stacked. Has a couple of February stuff. Hogwarts Legacy, of course, ended up becoming the best-selling game of the year, and that was released early February. Wanted Dead, a game that I was looking forward to a lot, released. Ended up being kind of mid in the long run, but still, game to highlight for sure. Atomic Heart was late February. Let's get into March here. Oh, sorry, Horizon Call of the Mountain. That was PSVR. It's so far the only first-party title PlayStation has released. No more after that. One and done. March is a bit quieter. We had Wolong Fallen Dynasty come out as Team Ninja. Let's see what else is standing out. Before Your Eyes. Well, that was ported. Excuse me. Yeah. What is that?
Sorry. I had the stream up and it just started playing.
Is that me?
That was you.
Bayonetta Origins, Cereza and the Lost Demon. Yeah, not much here in March from 2023. RE4 Remake. Excuse me. RE4 Remake. Yeah, when I'm looking at the list side by side, I would go so far as to say 2024 has been more stacked than what we're usually used to. Like, sure, Dan has said that in the long run, maybe some of these games that we're already talking about won't be in discussion at the end of the year. But as of right now, it feels like we're in a little bit of a early year video game release renaissance. I mean, last year was like, by the time we were in summer, it's like, is this one of the best years in gaming ever? Here we are, just a couple of months in 2024, and already we've got titles that are standing toe-to-toe against the likes of 2023. So far, I think this is a pretty good year. Pretty solid year.
Yeah. I would say last year was better for me personally, but like
by the end, sure. Yeah. The rest of the year is kind of a question mark, though. We've got Stellar Blade coming out the end of this month. Hellblade is releasing in May 21st. I'm also missing some stuff in my calendar, so I'm going to pull up a games calendar for 2024 just to have some more stuff in here. We have Shadow of the Erd Tree coming in June. Black Myth Wukong in August. Stalker 2 supposedly releasing in September. Beyond that, it's sort of a question mark as what games will eventually release. I mean, we got rumors that there's going to be the speculation, that Sony Santa Monica is preparing to show off their IP, the Cory Barlog sci-fi IP. So whether or not that even makes it this year is a question mark, but at least we'll see it.
Avowed.
Avowed is this year. Thank you.
Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
Does that get a release date?
2024. It doesn't have a date yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, if we're going that route, then so does Light No Fire.
Yes.
That has a release date. No Rest for the Wicked is also on the horizon, which I should write down.
Yeah. Early access soon, right?
Silksong, I think 2024 early access might also be Hades 2, which will be massive. 9 Souls, May 29th. Row, Destiny 2, The Final Shape.
Yeah.
Giant DLC, beginning of June. Oh, dude, Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble coming to Switch June 25th. How could we forget? Frostpunk 2, July 25th. I think Gage has it on their Fantasy Critic. Yeah. Oh, Star Wars. Talked about that earlier in the show. Star Wars Outlaws is slated for this year. I think the rest of the year is a massive question mark.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. That's going to be game of the year.
I mean, that game, I don't know about that, but like those games do review well, and it will be good. I saw footage of the Dune Ornithopter mission in Flight Simulator, and it looked fucking awesome. That was really cool.
Very cool.
Zenless Zone Zero.
Zenless Zone Zero is coming as well. Yeah, that's correct. So it's replaced supposedly, but I mean we've heard little. Yeah, I think as of right now, if we're judging 2024 right now, I don't know if it's beating the allegations of it being a better year than 2023. There's still so much up in the air, but that's kind of the nature of games. Same thing with movies. Like, we'll know some of the bigger blockbusters, but you know, it's the smaller mid-budget movies that will end up making the rest of the year like truly stand out. Games are different though because they take so long to make and release sometimes that it's like, okay, well, if there's no giant first-party games on the calendar, we're probably not getting any by the end of the year. So really, it's what our third-party games going to show up with through the rest of the calendar. And yeah, so far we don't know. Maybe by June we'll have a better idea of how the rest of the year will stack up. Maybe Skate 4 finally releases.
Assassin's Creed Red maybe as well, because I think it's supposed to be out before the end of their fiscal year. But
is that right?
Yeah, but I do wonder, like, you know, with the looming, and as we get closer, the looming release date of Grand Theft Auto 6, if that does come like early next year, if some people say, well, let's try to get our game out sooner, like if they were planning to release early next year and instead try to push up to like November, December this year, that'll be interesting.
I don't know, man. If I'm a developer, I'd rather go later than before.
I agree.
Count myself yeah.
But if you're in the shoes of the publisher who love money and you're getting close to the fiscal year, they may be like,
you would want to go earlier. Yeah, that's fair. Duh. How could I forget one of the biggest titles coming out this year? Of course, Call of Duty releasing with a 3-year dev cycle from Treyarch. Will Call of Duty be back? I mean, it's never really gone anywhere, but will it be back is a giant question.
Is it 3 or a 4 year? 4 years, right? Since Cold War.
Is it 4?
Yeah, I think since Cold War was their game, because 21 was Vanguard, which was Sledgehammer. 22 is
You're right. $2024 in review. So I have one question for you. I wrote down gaming trends and current discourse. The thing that people have been talking about this week is friction. That's what a lot of people on Twitter have been calling it. Paul Tassi at Forbes wrote an extensive article about the design of Dragon's Dogma 2, calling it Dragon's Dogma 2 hates its players, but in a fun way. And I'll also throw in Helldivers and how that game kind of throws you into the fire as you get into the later stages of any of the planets. Like that is it's a niche game. It's an intense game, very focused game. Both of those, I'd say, they're very much designed with purpose. How are you guys feeling in terms of gaming trends? I think if I had to point to anything, I would point to Elden Ring as maybe a bit of a cultural shift where suddenly we're more aware of the kinds of games and how they're designed. Because that one really stood out in comparison to what Ubisoft does, as Dan made his joke about, like, Ubisoft games are generally a copy paste, more or less much of the same across all of their titles. Of course, even games like Horizon Forbidden West and Zero Dawn had like very streamlined mass appeal design made to like just appease a bunch of people. But a lot of these titles like Dragon's Dogma 2 and Helldivers are aimed more hardcore systems, more niche audiences, games that like are tougher to get into, but it's creating an interesting place in games where like you have to approach gaming with a certain level of patience and dedication. And if you just don't have the time for that or don't want to struggle, then you're kind of left maybe either feeling abandoned, like you're not being able to play like the big hot ticket item, or, kind of just waiting for something that will, pique your attention. And maybe there's less of that going on. I don't know.
Yeah, and the thing is like chasing trends I feel like it very rarely goes well. Like we look back at, like, I guess Fortnite as the most successful thing that followed a trend because that game was a completely different game. PUBG came out and then they completely pivoted to Battle Royale and it ended up doing very well for them. But I feel like there's more failures than successes when it comes to following trends. That I feel like you want to be the one setting the trends rather than following the trends. And like that was one thing that I loved about Bungie back in the Halo days was they were setting the trends. They were setting the trends for creating matchmaking that hadn't been really done in the way that they did it before. They, created the friends list for Xbox Live, which was literally non-existent before that. Like there were so many things that they started, and like I feel like that's what companies need to do, or developers need to do more of nowadays, is like what should be the next trend or like the next cool feature that will have people talking about and being excited about, because like that's what drives interest in your games, I feel like.
Yeah, but even still, it's still tough to like carve out like a place for you. Like Helldivers got lucky, like that hit all the right nerves at the right time, and it's still sticking around. I would still go so far as to say like the finals is attempting something similar, and it still has its appeal and its audience, but it's become so much smaller, despite it being what I would say all three of us. But what I mean by that is me, Dan, and Gage, who like jumped in more. Yeah, all I think us three would agree that like is a unique and special game that is doing something different and is carving an identity. Yeah. But it's still like it could, even if you do all the right things, you might end up just being left behind anyway.
Which I think is okay also. Like if you carve out a niche audience and you have a player base that supports you, like I think too often like we look at, what are the big blockbuster successes, like Helldivers 2, for instance, and yeah, that game's doing great. That's awesome to see. But like there's a lot of games out there that are doing cool shit and doing well, without doing gangbusters, for instance.
Content warning.
Yeah.
With a unique idea to marketing. Not the first time they've done it, but it's the first time I've seen it in a long time. Have a game release free for a day, and now if you got it, you own it now, and suddenly you have like a mass audience of players playing your game, and then have free marketing by just sharing clips of that game. kind of working out for them in that regard. Otherwise, I don't know if I would have even had content warning on my radar at all.
It's true. Yeah, that's a really smart idea.
I wonder if more people will do it. I wonder if that'll become a trend where indies go free for a little while or do a reduced. Well, they already do the reduced cost on launch day, but that'll be
Which I do like that. Yeah, I've partaken a few times in that as well. Yeah.
And then you were saying with how some trends usually isn't the smart way to go, and I agree. Like with Suicide Squad is the most recent example for, I think,
Oh God.
where it's like, oh, Acclaim Studio tries the live service trend and it goes horribly wrong, as if we weren't all expecting it to do that. But for some reason, they tried it still. And the first season came out, the first update. And like how I felt with Destiny, it was like another fart in the wind. Nobody cares. Apparently, it sucks. There's no new thing in it, from what I read from Paul Tassi's article and video.
Yeah.
Just Joker, and all the missions are the exact same. It's like, what? How can you release something like that and expect? It's a free update, I guess, but still, it's like, what the?
It's not just Joker. You have to grind the same missions you've already done at the end of the game, the like base campaign to even get Joker, or you can buy him for real world money, which is the same thing Warner Brothers did with one of the Middle Earth games, where like to get the ending of that game you had to grind at the end, or you could just buy a microtransaction to fast track and get you closer to the ending faster. Which is like, yeah, they apologized and they walked that back, but did they really learn their lesson? Of course not. The Road just brought up Joker. So it's the same practice.
Yeah,
sure. 7 more seasons, I think, or 6. If it was, I don't know.
And the boss is a reskin again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think all the bosses are supposed to be Brainiac alternatives in these seasons, which is wild. Crazy.
That doesn't sound very fun.
Yeah. I was gonna say I can't. I guess I can't speak. I played Destiny for years, and a lot of the stuff was reskins, but it was fun to play. It was really fun.
That 30 seconds
Sure.
of fun, that loop.
Yeah, exactly.
If you had to give 2024 a grade so far, whether it be with numbers or letters, what would you give it before we close out the show?
I would give, as someone who hasn't played most of the games in it, but I would, as someone who has watched the games, and I would say a B for me.
That's exactly what I was thinking as well. Mm-hmm.
Not a B plus, not a B minus, a B.
It's a solid B. I'm with you. I agree.
I was gonna say a C plus.
Whoa,
But
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
I don't know. I look at the amount of games that like are in my 2024 backlog. Even it's like, damn, there's a lot of good shit. Maybe even if like not, I don't even get to everything, which I don't think I will. Like, who knows if I'll even touch Pacific Drive? I still want to play it though. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's enough swings here that's like, yeah, this is an exciting landscape, even if it's just early on, that I enjoy. But nothing is quite reaching these like A and S tier levels for me just yet. Helldivers and 7 Rebirth are really strong, but I still want something more. Tell me, what's up?
you forgot South Park Snow Day. That should be.
Dude, I mean that game like got horribly reviewed. What are you
I know.
What are you talking about?
Okay, bring back the South Park RPGs because those were actually good.
Stick of Truth and Fractured Butthole.
Yeah, I mean Stick of Truth was the one which obviously set it on that path. Fucking Obsidian, great work with that game. That was great.
I played a couple of hours and then dipped.
Oh,
Never beat it.
come on.
Yeah, it's whatever.
It was a great game.
All right. What are you most excited for? I'll ask one more question. Is it Avowed for you, Daniel?
It's probably a toss-up between Avowed and Indiana Jones, but I'm kind of thinking Indiana Jones just because I kind of feel like, I know that's crazy because I love Obsidian's games, but I've never been as big on like Skyrim and Elder Scrolls. Like I still enjoy them, but I'm a much bigger Fallout fan, or in Obsidian's case, Outer Worlds fan. So I think that slightly gives the edge to Indiana Jones. I'm very excited to see what Machine Games does with this game. I'm excited. The narrative specifically, because they did a great job with Wolfenstein, I thought.
Do I even ask Ro this question?
I may not play it, but I mean, it was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but now that's past. What I'm looking forward to now is, even though I was talking shit earlier, I guess maybe I'm more anxious than excited, is for Destiny Final Shape, to see how it all wraps
Shakes
up.
out. Yeah,
So I think that's what I'm looking forward to the most now.
sure.
Glenn saying, to be fair though, Christian, Shadow of War was a fun game overall. Yes.
I mean, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I won't argue that.
Yeah. Keurig also was asking about Snow Day. No, it is not a third part of the series. It is a completely different game, and it is not good. Don't buy it.
That's from like the 64. I think I played that, right?
Yeah. Wait. Snow Day?
Wasn't that like the multiplayer game on Nintendo 64 where you just like threw snowballs at each other like a death match?
I don't know.
Yeah, because it's a port or a remaster or whatever.
Oh,
Isn't it?
I didn't know that. Yeah, it might be. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Am I wrong?
I have no idea.
Let's find out.
Apparently the universe takes place in the same universe as Stick of Truth and Fractured Butthole, because it says it takes place after the events of those games, but this is absolutely nothing like those games. So
I'm wrong. There was a Nintendo 64 game called just South Park, and it was a first-person shooter where you use snowballs to attack enemies.
Oh, interesting.
And other people, other characters, but yeah. It's a Snow Day. It's its own thing. It's reviewed really poorly. Jesus.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Thank you again to everyone joining us live on YouTube and Twitch, as well as podcast services everywhere, including, but not limited to, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your pods. Thank you, Roshan. Thank you, me, Gage. I miss you. That's Daniel, and this has been Podcast PXN, and we are out.
Much love and keep on gaming.
See ya.
Mwah.